We start at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night. Jacksonville Jaguars 0-3, 0-1 on the road at Cincinnati Bengals 2-1, 1-0 at home. We're at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. 70 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 4 miles per hour. Let's start with the market here. Move over to the cash. The Bengals open up as 7.5-point favorites. It was minus 105 for the Bengals at Pinnacle. It's now minus 102. So a 3-cent move towards the Jacksonville Jaguars. This total opened up at 45.5 at minus 106 to the under. It's now minus 118 to the over. And BetOnline and Pinnacle are the only books that haven't, of the main books that I look at, haven't moved it to 46. So let's move over to the cash flow in this spot. 8,360 tickets in. We have 76% of the tickets on the Bengals. 77% of the cash that's on the spread. It will always be on the spread. I won't talk money line unless I mention money line, but that's the spread, 76 to 77%. And then 67% of tickets on the over and 69% of cash on the over. And we see it moving towards the over. All right, let's get to work. Jacksonville comes in off their 18th straight loss, 31-19 setback at home to Arizona. They led 19-10 after Robinson's 4-yard touchdown run in the third quarter. Agnew returned that missed field goal, 109 yards on the final play. They had momentum, but Trevor Lawrence is not capable of keeping momentum at this point in his career. He will be at some point, but not yet. 22 of 34, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He added 27 yards on the ground from 6 carries. He also fumbled the ball twice, losing both. He has 9 turnovers in 3 games, on pace to throw 40 interceptions this season, and that would break the rookie record held by Peyton Manning with 28 picks set in 1998. Marvin Jones Jr. caught 6 passes for 62 yards. The Jags moved the ball on the ground well, with James Robinson as the RB1, which is what we talked about after week 1. He's got to be the guy. 15 carries for 88 yards, 1 touchdown. Then Carlos Hyde, 8 carries for 44 yards. Miles Jack was all over the field, 10 tackles. But the Jags got no pressure, and we'll keep going back to this. They can't get any pressure, and if they don't get pressure, they're going to lose every game. They need pressure. 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit on Murray. Lambeau missed 2 extra points, 5 misses in 3 weeks. Missed 2 field goals last week in Denver. Defensive end Robert Harris is listed as questionable. Trey Herndon, cornerback, expected to make his season debut this week. That will help. Offensive tackle Cam Robinson, and guard Andrew Norwell are banged up, listed as questionable. Bengals coming off an easy 24-10 win at Pittsburgh. It was their first win in Pittsburgh since 2015. It's all changed. Burrow, 14 of 18, 172 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jamar Chase had another strong game. 4 catches, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. There's 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Joe Mixon was a monster, 18 rushes for 90 yards. The offensive line was excellent. And now, at this point, and maybe you can touch on this, Bebsie, I'm not sure if the offensive line is as good as it looks, or this Steelers defense, with all the injuries they have, are incapable of getting pressure. 0 sacks, and Burrow wasn't hit once. Last year's third-round pick, Logan Wilson, out of Wyoming, was a beast out there. 6'2", 240-pounder, all over the field, 14 tackles, 2 interceptions. They were able to get pressure all day. 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Their cornerback, Chidobe Awuzie, left in the second half with a groin injury. He's listed as questionable, as are cornerbacks Trey Waynes and Darius Phillips. So is safety Jesse Bates. That's a lot of issues with their secondary. Guard Xavier Suafilo and Riley Reif are also listed as questionable. There you go, Bebsie. Jags, Bengals. Bengals 7.5-point favorites. Total 46. Take it away.
Well, as you know, I hate Thursday night football. I said it 17 times last year. I'll say it 18 this year. I don't like it, but look, the Bengals are the home team. They're playing good football right now. The Jags are on the road on a short week. Yes, it looks like Urban Meyer finally figured out that the young James Robinson is better than his old buddy from Ohio State. So that's going to help them. But Trevor Lawrence, he's just 7 picks, did you say? 7, right? He had 3, then 2, then 2, or 2, then 3, then 2. Either way, it's 7 picks. Not a great start for Trevor Lawrence. His confidence has got to be rattled right now. And this is a coach that did not prepare this team for the season. It's almost like he came out, he's just like, I got this great plan. And then after week 1, he was like, oh, shit, I don't know what I'm doing. And now he's trying to play catch up. I just think the Bengals are in a better situation here. I think even with the points, even though this kind of feels like a trap game, I still think if you are going to lay money, you got to lay it with the Bengals right here because the Jags look awful. I mean, they've lost 18 in a row. They don't look like they're going to pick this up. I realize 7.5 points on a Thursday with a team like the Bengals that has that many injuries is going to be tough, but I don't know. I personally, if I was to bet, I'd have to take the Bengals here.
Well, I don't see why we don't take the Bengals here. I don't see that win over the Steelers as a season-defining win. I see this team with still a lot to prove. Do you think there's a chance that the Bengals come in here cocky and fat and lazy? I think they might be too young to do that. I think they want a showcase game where all eyes are on them. Johnny Case's letdown spot after that win off the Steelers. Is this a letdown spot? Are the Steelers the boogeyman that they were just too afraid of for years? Or is that just one step in their evolution, and are they going to now show everybody when all eyes are on them on Thursday night and just beat the shit out of these Jags?
I think it's partly a step in their evolution. I mean, we all have seen what Joe Burrow can do as long as they can protect him. To touch on what you said earlier, I think it's partly that this O-line is getting better. It's partly that the Steelers are so banged up. And I don't think this is a game that would go to their heads. Like, they're young, but they're still professionals, and they have to look across the other side of the field and realize that Pittsburgh's team is super depleted. Like, they started that game with a ton of injuries. They ended with a ton more. And right now, beating Ben Roethlisberger is nothing to be proud of. He looks every day of 39. He looks like a guy who's had the shit knocked out of him for years. He looks like a guy who's playing to spite Mason Rudolph for that draft pick. Like, the guy's done. He is done. He was done last year. I thought maybe after an offseason he'd be good for a little while and be ready to go, but he is abysmal. One of the best things about Big Ben in the prime of his career was to be able to sit there and take hits and then deliver a deep ball on the money. He can't do either of those things anymore. So you can't beat a team like that right now and get excited and get cocky. If you do, that's bad coaching, and that's just a sign of immaturity, which, yes, they're young, but they can't be stupid as well.
I agree. First off, Birdie as well as Slatsy last week jumped on the Broncos to win all 4 quarters. That cashed at plus 825. They're doing the same with the Bengals at plus 1050 plus 1050. I feel like usually maybe I'm just becoming my eyes are just, I'm dealing with a bias here after watching us cash the Bengals ticket, but I see them as having so much to prove. And now they get a chance on a Thursday night to destroy the Jags. I think they do just that. And I know this is a very, very public play, but I think they just, team total over. What is that team total over right now? I mean, I can understand having some concern over them, in a letdown spot, 27.5. 27.5. I am going to move on the Bengals. Dennis Garcia said, I said Cincinnati offensive line was a problem last week, but Pitt can't get pressure, and Jacksonville can't get pressure. Brady says, I'm not sure the Bengals head coach is good enough to keep this team grounded. Bengals have to be the look, but I can't bet that head coach and have to cover 7.5 points on a short week. Very, 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 very interesting. I'm going. So you're going to stay to your plan with staying off of Thursday Night Football?
That's the nice thing about staying off Thursday Night Football. There's no stress. I don't give a shit.
All right, and we have polls going on for each game. We have 58% of the cappers on Bengals minus 7.5, and it's. I expect that almost on every poll that we have for each game that the dog will have a higher percentage of picks in our poll than will in the marketplace. And maybe I'm just being a simpleton here, but I think the Bengals at home in front of their own crowd destroy the Jags. And maybe I'm just drinking too much of their soup, but soup tasted good on Sunday. I plan on going back to the fade the Jaguars train, and I know it hurt me in the first half with a loser, but Dennis makes a great point. Back-to-back games for these Jaguars getting a special teams touchdown, and they can't cover. I think Bengals wreck shop here. It's such a public play. I'm afraid to make it, but I plan on moving on the Bengals first half in full game. Okay, let's move on. No move for Bebsie.